Alright, so I didn't actually record the sound when recording these games for reasons, sometimes you're not allowed to make noise where you are. So, luckily, I think actually, I'll just be talking about these games after. This is from round 3, the semifinals of Chat Tournament 35. There's a Hildebrandt Vanderville card for the winner, though presumably this happened forever ago when this comes out, but that's okay. And yeah, the rule set was same wall combo random. So this is very close to no rules unless you happen to be able to line up sames or same walls. But it means like if someone has a 10 in a direction and you don't have a 10 back, you're never flipping that. If you do have a 10 back, you have to line up something very exact to flip it. It makes it quite similar to a no rule game. And I was really dreading this game because Delial is incredibly good, and I thought that meant unless we get incredibly unfair hands, he's not going to be beatable. And also, I thought unless we get incredibly unfair hands, I don't think I should be beatable either. So we're just going to play a million games really miserably. Luckily, he got a horrible hand here. So I am the hand in blue, he is the hand in red. And because this is a no rules game, we can think of it more and more in terms of kind of who dominates in each direction. He has a 10 up and two 10s to the right. But I also have a 10 left. I have a 10 up. I have a 10 to the right. So my 10 up and my 10 to the right are unmatched in his hand, while my 10 to the left means I can set up things he can't take going to the right. The only direction he can take anything I put is going down, and I have first turn, so I get to direct the game. And I didn't overthink this decision. I played what I thought was the pretty clear, easy move to make, the Lily Black in 7, which he just cannot touch, and he's given a pretty rough decision. Now, I think he made a very good decision here. He thinks he should have used a slightly different card, and he might be right. But the reason to use, so he plays Marley in 3, 8A5-5. The reason to use a different card is because Marley actually has quite significant same wall potential, both off his 9-5-9-5 in a way we'll see as relevant in the game, but also off my 5-5-9-9 or my 9-5-8-7. So I think Marley was a card worth keeping in his hand. And I don't remember what I was expecting, but I think I thought he was going to chuck something else somewhere. Maybe the 8A5-6 somewhere on the right side of the board or the top right. But once Marley was out of his hand, it meant his hand never had any combo potential this game. On the other hand, I think it's a reasonable try. He didn't really have a way to play next to stuff. I thought he might play 8A5-6 and 8. That's the move I thought. Because I thought if I take it with Ayla in 5, he does have the same wall in 6. And I don't have to take it immediately. I'll probably play safely in 9. But I thought that might give him play to move around. But that looks pretty horrible. I think this looks better. I think the whole, I can't touch your starter. Let's just make the game face the other way. You've used up a lot of your right power. It's actually a trickier card for me to take than it looks like. I only have one capture and 2. Create a little challenge for them and direct the game a different way where his cards have more power taking, I think makes a lot of sense. I think this was a very practical move. The solver says I have a win here. I don't actually remember what it said, but if you want to try to find it, if someone has a guess, I can check. But it was not something I looked at. It was something fairly obscure. Or at least, given that it wasn't something I looked at when I saw it, I thought, that's obscure. It might not feel obscure to you. I don't know. If anyone can find it, well done. I did not. I played, again, what I thought was a pretty straightforward, clear move here, where he has a bunch of questions to answer. It's just tough for him to play against this. I have a little combo synergy. If he goes 9-5-9-5 and 5, trying to ever take something of mine, I always have Ayla in 2 comboing back and just winning the game immediately. And if he had kept on held on Marley, he might have a combo back in 6, but as is, that just wins for me. And that means my cards are pretty safe, and he suddenly has a card to defend, and he's going to have to put another card on the board, and that's probably going to be at risk too, right? It's easy to imagine him, if he goes in 9 or something, Even if I can't take it, and I play 8-1, 8A, and 6, I've now grabbed the card in 3. I have 3 safe cards on board. He has 1. It's just going to be really tough in so many lines. But I really liked what Deli did here, and it was the direction I was actually starting to think as I looked at this position for him, but I didn't get quite to which card it should be in the square he moves. And that's sort of to say, okay, I want to play in the square that removes the problem square. And what he wants to do is go in 5. But 5 has a problem with 2. So can he just block 2 and renew the threat in 5? But we have to do this in a useful way, and you can't always follow this logic. One thing that makes it a plausible move here is 2 is a fairly normal move to make in this structure anyway, right? 2 is not some unlikely move, right? If the problem was 4, blocking 4 would be pretty weird here, because 4 would be a card locking in one of my cards. Occasionally you have setups in 1, but if you were just trying to remove the other person's play, you probably wouldn't be able to get away with 1. But 2 is a pretty normal square. So if you get to play in a square that you might consider anyway, and it removes a key square for your opponent in variations you start calculating, it's one of the ways where you can see someone, they've clearly calculated a line, not here a very deep one, but have used the knowledge from that to learn which squares are important to remove from the board. And I think this is a really useful, cool way to think that a lot of people don't use well enough, but is really, I think, pretty automatic for how Deli plays, and it's where a lot of his more creative moves come from. And I don't know if there are other players who have it quite as intuitively as he does. But I was starting to get there, and I think I get there less intuitively and more by trying to force myself to get there, which is not to say he's not putting in the work or anything. But I was also thinking he probably needs to just block 2. And something I realized here was I've probably been too quick to give away all my right power. And that's going to make it easier for him to defend. Obviously, he has to find something good to tie here, because this is very dangerous for him. But it struck me at this point, maybe I could have put more pressure on. And I had just sort of assumed, this looks really promising. It gives him a tough save, and I was starting to realize maybe it's not that tough a save, though I still think this was a very good save. I wasn't sure which card he should put in 2. I think he has to hold on to 9-5-9-5 because that is the threat in 5. It also is a card I can no longer take that 9 facing down because Billy's out of my hand, and in a kind of Z or some structure like that, having safety up down is going to be really important. Again, this is similar to a no rules game. Similarly, he has to keep a6, 7-6 because that's potentially something I can't beat if it's facing up. So it's got to be one of 8-8, 5-6 or 8-6, 7-8. I'm not sure if both work, but he went with 8-6, 7-8, and I thought this was a really good move. And my first instinct was to go in 5, but I couldn't quite make it work. And the problem is, if I go in 5, right? Let's say I go with Rico or Georg in 5, something that puts me up 6-4. I'm up 6-4, but in some sequence, and however I play it, the sequence might vary, he's going to play 9-5, 9-5, and 6. And if that's Georg, that's going to flip it back, make it 5-5. I won't be able to take that. And then he's going to play a6, 7-6, and 4. And I'm not going to be able to take that either. Now, if I do it with Rico, then 9-5-9-5 no longer flips back. 9-5-9-5 no longer has a flip in 6. So I spent a while thinking this was more promising. But I think this one's still... I mean, I know it doesn't work, but I'm trying to remember exactly why. Puts me up 6-4. But there's some... I don't think it's a trick in 1. There are some plus walls in 1. Oh, plus wall isn't on. What am I talking about? I think It's that I can play, or he can play, if I go Rico in 5, he can play Ramses in 6. That makes it 5-5. And if I don't capture him, he can play 9-5, 9-5 safely on the other side. So I should capture him with 8-1, 8A, and 9, putting me up 6-4. But then he can play 8A, 5-6 in 1, recapturing 2, and Ayla's 5 is not enough to capture his 5. That looks to me like the line. So I saw 5 didn't work. And then I was looking around for other options, and I was looking at 4, and I was looking at 6, and I was looking at 9. But fundamentally, none of it worked. I don't have the recaptures in the right square. 6 and 9 don't work because I just don't have the right power. And I thought the way to test him is to force the game left. And so the best move I could find, and I think this probably is the best try, though maybe Rico in 5 is trickier, was 5, because I mean, clearly it just took me a little bit to figure out, but not that long, and we had 5 minutes here, so he was never going to not find it. So I tried this, and he only has one kind of saving idea, but I don't think I was ever going to win this game. For a hot second, I thought I was winning, but clearly incorrect. He finds a really nice move in 5. I have no right power. It doesn't even need to create any threat in 4, because I can't play in 6 without getting comboed by 8A, 5, 6. So I can't occupy 6, and I can't do anything in any other square. And when he occupies 6 with 9-5, 9-5, I will have no captures. And we have a tie. So I think this was actually just like, I got really outplayed. Now, some games you're going to play great and apply the most pressure, and they're going to find a save, and that's fine. But I also think this game, my move in 8, I should have seen quicker that 2 neutralized it pretty effectively. Though it was close. Both 5 and 1 were really close. So maybe this was a good try. I mean, I did miss a win, so obviously I missed something. But I think in general, he made it clear my obvious moves with a massively favored hand were not enough to beat him. And that was a bit of a bummer. So we move on to, so I spent a little while thinking, go in 4, he goes in 6, and we have a tie. And we move on to game 2. Now the thing that happened in game 2 was, once again, he had an absolutely garbage hand. And I think this one might be even worse than the first one. So I have 10s facing down, and he has 10s facing up, and that is equally matched. And he has a 10 facing down, and I have no 10s facing up. So I don't have that beat. But as soon as you start looking at the side to side, I have a 9 to the left, and he really needs 2 9A6 to fight that. And I have a 10 to the right, and he has nothing to fight that. And also, I have so much free safety. My 4 9A5 and my 2 9A6 are both just safe. And also, because I can only use one at a time, nothing he plays is safe except his 2 9A6. So I have 2 cards that are potentially very easily safe to his 1, but very importantly, as soon as 2 9A6 is out of his hand, I have more safety. Suddenly my 8-7-4-9 is safe in 9. Suddenly my 9A3-7 is safe in 7. So if he's going to have any play against my cards, he needs 2 9A6. But if he doesn't use 2 9A6, it's incredibly hard to find moves for him. And this is just like, basically lost. I forget if the solver said it was fully lost after my move in 1. You'll notice Deli plays just basically instantly here because there is so little to do and he saw a trick. And sometimes if you see a trick and also are exhausted that you're just getting the worst hands imaginable, which he was. I mean, this is ridiculous. I've basically been handed the win 2 games in a row. And on a rule set where there's just no counterplay when that happens, right? There's just so little to do. You can't create combo synergies because you just don't have the cards to do so. There's nothing to play for, and it's kind of horrible to do. So that's part of the reason he went fast. But I think another reason is I actually like it as a practical decision because he has 1 trick, and if he plays quickly, I might play quickly too. I definitely have a habit of doing that, but lots of players do. And if I play quickly, I can make a mistake here. And I ended up taking my time, so I played a good move here. But the easy mistake to make is 2 9A6 in 3. when he can play either of the A8 7-4s in 5 and set up double threats in 4 and 6. And he has in fact found a synergy and gotten enough counterplay. Luckily, I saw that pretty quick, so I wasn't going to fall for it, but I do think that was a good try. Then I spent a while on 2-9-A6 and 4, and I thought it looked good. I was worried that if he went in 7, he would force 8-7-4-9 out of my hand, and I wasn't sure I had enough play there. I thought, for instance, I go for, he sticks, say, A8, 7-4, and 7. I take it from 8, and he takes that with A4, 7, 8, and 9. Lines like that to me were looking like, I don't think I'm winning there. Now, as it turns out, I was just miscounting. I think I just do win there. I just play 9-8, 9-3, and 5 at the end, and he has no captures. But I was thinking that that probably wasn't quite close enough. Now, I think that isn't a forced win, but it's because of something more creative, like him going in 9 rather than 7. But I was getting bad feelings about that. And then that got me to think, okay, he used 2-9-A6, so I could also play 9-A3-7 in 7. And then if we get a kind of analogous version of the line, maybe I get it better. But then I'm also still using up all my left power. I wasn't sure that was working either. And that led me to the other potentially safe move, 8-7-4-9 and 9, which gets rid of my left power faster. But I saw a bunch of lines where as soon as A4-7-8 is out of his hand, A8-7-4 is out of his hand, 9A3-7 is just going to dominate side to side. And if I can set up this as any side to side action at the end, it's just going to win me the game. And I'm going to have so much free safety with my 2-9-A6 in 3 or 4, my 9-8-9-3, probably somewhere like 8 if 7's blocked. And I just thought it would be a sweeper at the end of the game. And this was correct. This is a winning move. It was a little counterintuitive to me because it uses up my leftward power. But it's so hard for him to find anything useful to do. And my 9-A3-7 becomes so powerful if he does play the move that looks appealing, A8, 7, 4, and 7, that I correctly evaluated that as a win for me. And what else is he going to do? It's just a horrible... I mean, this is a forced loss. I believe he does play A8, 7, 4, and 7. Reasonable of him to spend more time here, because there might be some way to calculate it out. There wasn't. Again, he just got completely screwed by the hands. And I had seen that I could play, in some order, something like 9-8, 9-3, and 8, and 2-9-A6 in 3. And if that happened, 9-A3-7 was just guaranteed a capture at the end. And there's nothing he can do. Started with 9-8-3 and 8, 9-8, 9-3. He did it, went in 4, which slightly could change the plan. I decided to just go in 5 immediately. But the previous plan of 2-9-A6 and 3 and having 9-A3-7 sweep side to side works as well. So I end up winning. Not a feel-good win, not a win where you're like, yes, I played well, or I found something. I'm a little pleased after 1 and 2 here. I saw that 9 was a win, or I thought it was the most promising move, and it was a win. That's, not the usual move, but when it's safety, it's not that hard to find. Horrendously bad hand for him. I think both of these games, my new win probability rater has me at like 80-90% within a move or two. And somehow I didn't win one of them. And it's, given that the win was hard to find, I wish I'd played a little more pressury, but I don't really think I played badly. I think Delial fundamentally in the first game saved a game he should save, 6% of the time. And in the second game, he didn't save a game he should save like 1% of the time. So honestly, Deli probably played better than I did over the course of this match. It's happened to me quite a bit, but I seem to have gotten lucky with a lot of randoms there against him. And did here. Obviously, I played good here, right? I missed one win that was tricky and found some stuff that was a little tricky. But it's a rule set where it's just so hard to find any counterplay. What's there to do? So anyways, next time we'll have the finals against Addy, who has already made the finals. Beat a tough bracket. I think he's won every game he's played. Beat Akiyama and beat Asala. Forget who he played in round 1. that's a tough match coming. And should be a better rule set, too. Same wall is just really rough. The thing is, same wall should help, right? Because it gives another tool. But level 10 cards have such a variance in numbers that you need everything to line up so well for sames or same walls to ever happen. There were a couple variations where a same mattered between the two games, but actually only one in this game. His trap of after 1-2, if I went 3, that he had 5, and basically one in the other game. My trap that with cards in 7 and 8, if he went 5, I had a combo in 2. But just played around it, and yeah, there's not much to do. So, okay, on to the finals.